Hey, welcome back to another awesome episode of Coffee with Tracey. I am your host, Tracey Osborne. Today, we are talking about something that is super, super important for your business. It's all about growing your email list. As they say, the gold is in your list, right? So if you don't have one, you're missing out on a lot of opportunity there. And with me today is an expert on list building, Jessica Yarbrough. I've been following her on Facebook for a while, so I'm really super excited to actually hear what she's got to say today. Let me read her bio, and then we're going to jump in. All right, Jessica Yarbrough, the Mompreneur Coach, is a successful entrepreneur, marketing strategist, and business coach. She helps women create high-end coaching programs so they can easily make 5 figures a month without working more than 20 hours a week. Her expertise includes being an accomplished branding, strategy, and digital marketing expert. She brings more than a decade of marketing experience to her coaching programs. As a single mother, her mission is to support women with the tools, tactics, and resources to build a 6-figure business they can run from home. So welcome, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me, Tracey. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I'm excited to have you. Let me tell you, after having my grandkids all morning, I don't know how you guys do it as single parents anymore. I mean, I used to be a single parent, and even back when I was married, my husband was a truck driver, so I still felt like a single parent. But I had help. My mom lived with me. My sister-in-law lived with me. So in the early stages of my business, I still had people to watch the kids. And now my kids are able to fend for themselves. And I'm just like, God, no wonder nobody can ever work when they have toddlers running around.
No, that's why she's in preschool. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, I kept her home for the first 7 months. But after that, once she got mobile, it got a little difficult.
Oh my gosh. I spent like 2 hours trying to build a web page that should have taken me literally no more than 15 minutes at the most. And I'm like, okay.
Well, they demand your attention. That's the thing.
Constantly. And you're constantly,
Yes.
Okay, it's quiet. Where are you? What are you into?
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, let's talk about the whole power is in the list thing. Why do people say that?
Well, the more people you have on the list, the more people you have to market to and to sell your products and services to. Here's the catch, though. It's also about the quality of the list. So, I've got friends who have thousands of people on their list and they can't get them to convert. They can't get them to buy anything that they're selling because they either haven't qualified them for the exact product or service they're offered, or they need to find something complementary to sell them. So it's not just the size of the list, but it's also the quality, unless you're really good at segmenting and you're pushing your bread and butter is affiliate marketing and you've got different lists to sell people all different kinds of products.
Okay. So what do you mean, what do you mean by segmenting? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so some people build lists for the sole purpose of selling them other people's products down the line. So you might build a list to say for fans of hunting equipment. And then you also might have at the same time be building a list of women who are really into cooking or to baking. So some people are list building because their sole purpose is to have a big list of followers that then they can push relevant products to, like a survival kit for the hunters or your essential, really high-end maybe baking pans and stuff for the women on the other list. So it all depends. I mean, no matter what, if you build a list, there's power in it, but you got to know what you're building and make sure that whatever, you're building, you're selling them something that's relevant to that market.
Are there certain platforms that are better than others as far as where to house your list?
It's a personal choice. I mean, you've got everything from something like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign to something more, robust like Infusionsoft. I personally use ClickFunnels. I have their full suite because I use it to build my funnels, both the back end and front end. So it's a personal choice and also depends on the size of your budget. As you get bigger, you tend to need bigger software.
For sure. And I think also a lot of it depends on what's your end goal with your business. Somebody who they just want to send out a newsletter, Infusionsoft. I have so many clients who use Infusionsoft as a $400 a month way to send out their newsletter. And it's crazy. It's just tossing money down the drain. I use it in my business, but that's because I know how to use it. And I got a really, really good deal on it that I couldn't pass up. So I use it in my business, but you really, when you're trying to figure out your platform, it's really important to take into consideration, what am I really going to do with this? what am I really going to market to them? Is Infusionsoft really the way that I need to go? Am I going to be doing a lot of upsell, cross-sell, downsells? Or can I just stick with MailChimp or Aweber? I personally hate MailChimp, but that's just me. MailChimp is great if you're just sending out newsletters, in my opinion. But if you're going to really try and segment and build multiple lists and stuff, I definitely don't recommend it.
Yeah, it's interesting because so many, I think, new entrepreneurs go out and they buy big software that's just too big for them. They're not ready for it yet.
Yeah.
That's just something you do. You start buying all these things thinking you need them, and you realize, well, I only really need like a few core softwares to make my business run. So
yeah, or I'm going to grow into it. And I get why. It's like, okay, well, maybe 2-3 years down the road, I'm going to be ready for Infusionsoft. I don't want to have to go through that whole mess of having to move my list. I'll just start there. But then eventually they end up moving their list anyway because they realize they're never going to need Infusionsoft and they have to downgrade. So it is kind of a tough one at first. So when we're talking about our list and stuff, how important is, or what's kind of the difference between having an email list and having a huge social media? So I've got thousands and thousands of people on my Facebook and Twitter, and if you look at my combined reach, I think my combined reach total is like over 13,000. So what's the difference there?
Well, the difference is engagement. So even though you might have 10,000 followers, on your Facebook page, just because you post something on your Facebook page doesn't mean they're all going to get it, because obviously Facebook built this whole platform out because eventually they wanted to sell ads. So the unfortunate thing is you can be doing awesome posts on your page, but a very, very small percentage of your fans will actually see them. And your tweets will go out to your people as well, but they're also going to be in a feed with all these other tweets. So that's why I think even if you have a Facebook group, you should try to move all of those people at least onto your email list, so that if they just stop engaging in the group because they joined so many other groups, or if for some reason, God forbid, your group gets shut down, you have a list of most of the members right there that you can start to rebuild and reach out and say, okay, I don't know why my Facebook group got shut down, which has happened to a couple friends of mine. Here's the new one, join. So it is powerful, and it can be tricky because not everybody wants to receive emails anymore. It's like, it seems like it's getting harder, right, to get people to opt in.
It is. So let's talk about that. How do we get them on our list?
Well, you got to come up with something that's really juicy for them to opt into. And I feel like there's just so much, at least because you're in the marketing world, so right? We're just inundated with like offers, like give us your email. So it's got to be something really, really relevant to your target market. And the more specific, the better, because there's so many like sign up for this challenge and this challenge. And, these are the things you need for this. And so it has to be, I feel like you need to look at your avatar and make something so specific for them that like they will give up their email to you, because you're not speaking to everyone, but to them.
Right. But it's not only is that incredibly crucial just to get them on the list, but keeping them on the list. Because I'm thinking about the fact, like just this morning, I went through my newsletter emails and I'm like, I don't remember signing up for this person. And I started unsubscribing from things because not only did I not remember signing up, but the stuff that they were sending out was irrelevant to me. So, apparently they had some kind of a freebie or something that I wanted in the first place. But the continuous engagement has to be really, really high quality to keep them engaged.
Totally. And that's the thing. I think one of the mistakes that marketers are making is they're just really casting a broad net. So, like my target market is mothers. So my messaging, everything is going to be around speaking to moms who are wanting to start a business and work from home. So it's very, very specific. I'm not going to send out a message to all females, for example. So that's another thing. Your messaging has to be on point. And the more you can niche down what your focus is, the faster the traction you'll get in the marketplace, the more momentum behind your business, because it's specific. It's not you trying to be everything to everyone.
We talk about that a lot in the show is the niching down and really trying to figure out who your avatar is. And I think in the beginning when we're all starting out, our avatar is kind of anybody who wants to pay us.
Totally. Right. Yeah.
That's pretty common, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay when you're first starting out. But eventually, you kind of figure out, okay, well, I really like working with this type of person more than this type of person, and that's kind of how you start figuring out your niche. And that's also where segmenting comes in. I have 3 avatars. I have people who are brand new into kind of like you, wanting to start a business-based, home-based business, whether it's virtual assistant or some other kind of virtual professional. And then I have people who've been doing it for a while and need coaching. And then I have people who actually want to hire me for services. So I have 3 different avatars. So I have to have different segments and different lists so that I can send different types of emails to them.
Definitely. So triple the work.
It is triple the work, which I look at this and I'm like, why am I doing this? But it is what it is. But otherwise, you end up with high unsubscribe rates.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a matter of testing, right? You figure out what your audience really wants. So what are some good ways to actually get ideas for, what to give out?
Well, take your core offer, and then if you can break off a piece of that, it's really great. So, for example, there's lots of different ways, but let's say you have a course, on something, whether it's how to get Facebook leads for $1 per click, right?
Right.
So maybe take off one element of that training, like part 1 of the training, and give that away for free. And so what you could do is when people opt in, leave a little video on the opt-in page, thanks so much for signing up. Here is what you asked for, just all about this. And then zoom out and say, actually, this is just one piece of my 5-step process for getting Facebook ads down to 1 click. And I happen to have a course that's $47 or $97, that sort of thing. So now you've shown them you can go in, they can actually take and use that information right now, but they also realize that you hold the keys to the rest of it. So it's very enticing.
Yeah, that is a really good idea. I can't believe I still see people just putting on their website, sign up for my newsletter. That doesn't work anymore. Right?
Well, yeah. Nobody wants to sign up for a newsletter. Nobody cares. And nobody cares about really, unrelevant things like, for instance, 3 keys to empowerment. Like that to me, like, what does that mean when you land on the site? But if you could tell me, 3 ways to reduce your stress, organize your business and eliminate an hour of unnecessary, grunt work from your day. Something like that, I'd be like,
I like that. I'm going to feel that.
Feel it. And you know what I mean? Then it's like, oh, that's interesting.
Right.
I want to sign up for that because you just solved like a problem. And of course you make it very relevant to your audience.
Yeah.
Like, this is cool. Not just 3 keys to being an empowered, female entrepreneur that's super broad and no one cares about because you're not solving a problem for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And empowerment, what does that mean? What does that really mean?
Yes, exactly.
That is really generic. And, types of giveaways. So I see things out there. I'm getting free reports and stuff all the time because I want to see what other people are doing.
Totally.
Ebooks are great. Audios are really good. Video series. If the video series is really, really starting, the whole Jeff Walker style, 3 videos and then a sales page, that's really, really becoming very, very popular.
Yeah, and I like videos, actually. I like a video training because it's very teachable, like if you want to deliver the content that you're teaching, and it's also just allows you to connect with the person, visually and their sound and their voice, and it just makes it a lot more personal. So I do like a video series. So
yeah. Okay. Awesome. I'm just looking at some of these questions here that you sent over to me. I want to make sure we touch base on the important stuff that's important to you to talk about. I know we've covered everything already. Good. We're good to go. We're on a roll. So
right.
Yeah, so I've covered the important stuff that you definitely we want to make sure you talk about. So let's talk about some other things in regards to your email list. How important is open rate? And what does open rate really mean?
Open rate is how many people are actually opening and reading the emails you sent.
Right.
And it's important because otherwise you're taking that time to write it and then nobody's looking at them.
But so think about it. so I open an email, I kind of glance at it, but I toss it, and that counts towards an open rate, so how valid are those numbers really?
Well, unfortunately, there's nothing to track how long somebody actually spends reading your email. That would be
nice,
helpful.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still relevant because it is engagement. But of course, you want somebody to click on your offer or click through to your website ultimately, and finding that sweet spot where they're actually not just engaging on the first level, but the second level, which is that call to action.
Right. And, something that I judge also, because, like you said, the emails have a call to action. So depending on what system you're using, I think most people, or not people, but most systems track clicks, and clicks. And that's really, to me, that's actually more important than the open rate, or as important as the open rate, because, I can have a 20-25% open rate, but if I only have a 2% click-through rate, that means that people are opening my emails, but they're not taking action.
Right.
So either the message is wrong, the call to action is wrong, I'm sending it to the wrong group. So that's really important to look at as well, I think.
Yeah, totally. And it's almost a full-time job if you're, to manage your email marketing. I mean, it really is. So I think that's why a lot of people don't do it. And it's just one piece of the whole spectrum that you need to be working on in terms of engagement with your audience. So
I'm just as guilty as everybody else about not really watching those numbers as closely as I should be. And I was actually in my Infusionsoft last night looking at some of the numbers, and I was like, wow, I really need to start paying better attention to this because I'm sending the wrong types of messages. I'm not getting the call to action. So, so it is really important. So what I've done now, and this is, a great thing for most entrepreneurs, I think, is my virtual assistant, or my online business manager, this is now her role, is to once a week go in and I have a spreadsheet to log my emails, what emails have gone out, what lists have they gone out to, and what are the results. And that way I can just quickly go on Fridays or on Mondays or over the weekend, whenever, and say, okay, so this is how these things are performing.
Totally.
It probably doesn't take her more than 10 minutes to do. So it's a great thing. If you guys just don't have the time, you don't really, it just sounds like tedious work, whatever, have a virtual assistant do it. That's what we're there for.
You need a team for sure.
Oh, definitely. But it is really super important to watch that if you're going to do email marketing. Otherwise, like you said, you're just wasting your time.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know about you, I don't have enough time to waste.
No, not when you could be doing other things. So,
I see things on Facebook all the time where people are like, learn how I built a list of 10,000 in 7 days. Is it really possible to put thousands on your list in just a few days without doing something like a Telesummit?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, not quality ones unless you just had a huge ad spend budget. I mean, how else would you get people, that many people to opt in? And, because I know people with really great resources and they're powering it in the groups, and there's, it doesn't matter because within these groups and it's a promotional day and you see 50 to 100 promotions of like opt into my list for some kind of freebie, it can take a really long time to build your list. So
it can.
I don't know what they're using. And I don't know if, like you said, Summit or, a big ad budget would definitely get it. Or if you just already have a massive following, if you have like 1 million people following you, you can get 10,000 people to opt in one day.
Wouldn't that be sweet?
Yeah.
It's
interesting. It's interesting because I always hear these case studies, but it's like, about how much someone makes off a launch or, just anything. And it's like, well, what about I read a case study the other day. It was like how I made $250,000 my first year coaching. And then of course I clicked on it and I read through, and it was a health person, and it went to this long meandering story about how she had started a blog and then she did this. And so she built this like audience for like 2 or 3 years, and then she launched a course and she made that much money in her first year. So it wasn't really her first year. So that's the thing, is like, okay, yes, you had the success, but how long did it take you to actually build everything, or just try stuff and fail until you got to that place?
Yeah, so you really got to watch that when these people are promoting these really awesome case studies that they're doing. I'm always leery about when I see those. I'm kind of like, if you watch the really big guys out there, they're not putting out how much they're making or how much they did in their launch or anything like that, unless they're actually selling launch tactics or something. So I'm always kind of leery about the people who brag about how much they're doing. I don't know. I just don't think it's a very good marketing tool or marketing way to market. I just totally went blank there. So, I had a question stuck in my head. I didn't write it down. I always should write these things down when I'm doing this. All right, well, we'll move on. So when we're talking about our emails, I know, images and stuff. So deliverability, let's talk about deliverability, because, we can send out an email to, 10, 15,000 people, but it may actually only hit a fraction of that because it's landing in spam or, they're just not seeing it. So how do we get those deliverability rates up?
Well, I think for one, when you have an opt-in, you don't want to just hand it to them on the next page, that you want to say, check your inbox. So that they actually go to their email and open it and make sure it didn't go in their spam box. And then, of course, if you have something like a little cheat sheet or something email that says, hey, this is how you ensure how to get my emails delivered, star them, or make a little folder in your Gmail, that sort of thing. I mean, there's all kinds of tactics I see used out there.
Good idea,
And then using things like SendGrid, Cloudflare, those sorts of ones where you're checking your SMTP settings and you're white labeling it and doing all those other kind of technical aspects of it to make sure the deliverability is there. That can be powerful as well on the technical side of things.
And do you think, because I hear sometimes like, well, this platform, their deliverability is getting really bad, so I'm moving over to Active Campaign or something like that. I mean, is that really true?
I think it varies, and that's why I know the big ones, they don't keep all of their email lists on like one platform. They'll move things over. So like if they have 500,000, they'll move it over to another one. There's little ninja tactics that I don't even know.
Wow, I did not know that. I figured, hey, once on Infusionsoft, they stay there. That's really interesting. No, I'm gonna have to start paying attention to that.
Yeah, well, they might be on Infusionsoft, but they might be delivering it through a different SMTP kind of.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's where that Cloudflare and stuff kind of comes into play.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a ninja level. I'll hire somebody for that when I get that big. So I know we've kind of covered a lot of aspects about email marketing. I want to kind of go back to list size again. Because we've talked about how it's not necessarily quantity versus quality. And I know
at least when you're starting out.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, like when I do Telesummits, for example, when I build Telesummits for people, one of the most common requirements nowadays is you have to have at least 5,000 on your list. And it's all because, the more people, the combined total that we have on our list, the more people that are going to opt in for the summit. I get that. But, but one of the things that I really caution people is, don't discount those people with the smaller list, because those smaller lists are actually probably more loyal than somebody with a bigger list.
Right? Yeah, they're probably engaging more. Totally.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some lists that are, 2,000-3,000 and they have 20-30% open rate and their click-throughs are through the roof.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'd be interested. I participated in quite a few summits, and I'm always interested on, how many, emails do they really acquire, the person leading it, and that sort of thing. Like, what is really the norm?
So the average that I've seen from the ones that I've done, the average sign up is probably about 2,000. The highest I've done was a little over 5,000. And then I've had some that just tanked because the speakers didn't promote at all. So, but average for a telesummit, you probably get 1,000 to 2,000 on your list easily. Okay. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's just a couple thousand, and a lot of money if you hire somebody to do it.
Definitely.
To put on a telesummit of, say, 20 speakers, you're looking at roughly around 50 to 70 hours worth of work.
Yeah.
Easily. So
I could see that for sure.
Yeah, that's a lot of work to get a couple thousand people on your list.
Yes, it is. But it seems to be very popular.
It is. It's kind of starting to dwindle a little bit. I think people are starting to get a little oversaturated with the whole Telesummit idea. So we'll see. It'll be it's interesting. I'm just kind of watching to see where it goes, see how it can change. So this is really awesome. I've actually gotten a few ideas from you on how I need to up my game, because I'm kind of restructuring things again. And I know that I have to resegment my list a little bit. So actually, that's a good question. So I have, for example, about 1,500 on a list, and I need to segment them out. They're kind of all got dumped into one list. So I need to figure out who's really what. What's a good way to contact them? And I mean, do I give them different offers? Do I give them a poll? I mean, what's a good way to actually, an existing list, if you want to start segmenting them out? How do we do that?
Yeah, I would absolutely give them different offers, and once they click, on the offer, it'll set it up so it automatically adds them to a new bucket.
Right, and then probably take them out of that big combined list.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Because I know a lot of people in the beginning, or when they're first starting, they just kind of dump everybody into a newsletter list.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's, oh gosh, well now I've got this big bucket of people and it's kind of a mishmash. What do I do now? So okay.
Yeah, well, that's why if you want to keep it simple, just start with one business with one offer, and then it doesn't really matter. If you have more offers you have, the more complicated it gets, right? But the more services that you're providing or products that you're selling. So
yeah, for sure. Okay, awesome. That's really cool. Well, thank you so much. I've learned so much, and I hope the listeners have learned a ton today. Any final parting words for us on how to get our email game up to par?
Yeah, deliver really valuable stuff. Everything you put out there should be high quality. That's how you're going to get your fans. That's how people are actually going to rise up and start paying attention to you. Mm-hmm. Don't be somebody that's just out there sharing crap and things that are thrown together, or things that aren't really going to transform people's business, because then that becomes part of the background noise. So you really want to stand out from a crowd. You should lead with value.
That's actually something I want to talk about. That's what I didn't hit on was how often do we email these people? I mean, I've been on lists where, I kid you not, I have gotten 2-3 emails a day, and I get during a launch maybe, but that's still a lot of emails to get from somebody, to hear from them every single day. So, and then I've been on lists where, or I've had clients where they only want to mail once a month. So, how often do we reach out to these people?
I think in the beginning, when you're really indoctrinating them into who you are, you can talk about 5 days or 7 days of emails from you. If you're having an offer, depending on where you are in your launch, it can be 7 to 10 emails. But I personally don't like to do more than, you might get 2 in one day, because you might get your welcome and then the engagement of some sort, or here's how to access your product. But I kind of get irritated when I get multiple emails from someone in one day. Even if it's the webinar is starting in an hour, the webinar is starting in 15 minutes, and then catch the replay, and then it's 4 or 5 emails in one day, and it starts to overwhelming. But I think you also have to find what works for your market, because some people are, especially in the digital marketing world, it's really common to get tons of emails, and they're like, yeah, they almost expect it. Whereas if your target market is, again, the woman that's baking, she's probably not going to want 5 emails from you today, unless it's awesome baking recipes and stuff. So you have to find out what works for your market.
Yeah, that's really true. I was on this one list, and it's a very popular list on strategies for organization when it comes to housekeeping and house cleaning. Okay. And I was on her list years ago, and I'm telling you, she's been sent probably 4 to 5 or more a day.
Wow.
On different things. Oh, it's, did you clean this? Did you do this? And I'm like, I don't have time to do all that. Forget it. And I had to unsubscribe, because it was crazy. So yeah, that's definitely where knowing your market, busy moms, we don't have time for 5 emails from the same person.
Right. So just do one and make it really quality. I mean,
Yeah.
and even not every day, you know,
Yeah.
it could be once, I think once a week is fine.
Do you find putting images in your email, do you find that is affecting deliverability rates?
I haven't so far. I noticed, like, for me, like, even when I get one of my own emails, Google will automatically hide the image some of the time.
Right.
So
You
it's
have to
delivering
click on the
it.
thing that says
Yeah.
see all images. Yeah, that drives me crazy. Cool. Okay. Yeah, those are the questions that were rolling around in my head that I kind of spaced out on. So this is what happens when I have grandbabies all day. It just like totally throws my game. Holy cow. So awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. I really enjoyed talking with you. I was really looking forward to this. So I'm really excited.
Yay.
All right. And for you listening, we will see you on the next show. Thanks.